The Founders Society is the fifth episode of the first season of the new Frasier reboot, and apart from the first two episodes, I think this is my favourite episode so far. It's much stronger than the previous two episodes, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. This is directed by Phill Lewis, and there will be spoilers from this point on. Big spoilers as I discuss exactly what happens in this episode and mention various things that I really thoroughly enjoyed. What I will say is that IMDb is evil because before I watched it, I pulled up the information on IMDb, and what I found is that IMDb is not the most trustworthy for this series of Frasier at the moment because it said, and I'm heartbroken, it said that BB Newirth was in this episode. Though the name on IMDb is quite interesting for her character. I won't say any more than that, but I will just say you can't trust IMDb for Frasier. It doesn't even list the director at the moment. But never mind, the episode itself was absolutely fantastic. So it starts off in Frasier and Alan's office, and Olivia and Alan have both been given the Golden Plume, an invitation to a mixer for the Founders Society, and they're both very excited, and it made me want cake because they have the most delicious looking frosting and chocolate cake, and it was a very high energy start. And then, of course, Frasier gets the Golden Plume, and they spend a lot of time at this mixer, and I'll come back to that in a moment. But the other narrative involves David, and the aspect focusing on David I liked, but Freddy and Eve, I'm I'm hesitant to read too much into it, but I'm really hoping the show isn't going in a specific direction. So Freddy agrees to help David learn to talk to girls, and Eve is the practice girl, and well, needless to say, things don't go exactly according to plan. And I just love David, and I think the performance was brilliant, and I absolutely love him. And ultimately, what happened with that, with David meeting somebody at the pub, it's wonderful. I really enjoyed how that played out. But what I didn't like was the various hints that there might be a bit of flirtation between Freddie and Eve. And I don't want that to become a thing because I think that's too obvious. It's far too obvious for the show to go in the direction of Freddie and Eve getting together. I think they work really well together, but I think they're really great friends. And I think they can both bond over the grief of the loss of obviously Freddie's friend and Evie's, um, Adam. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, but I don't want them to ruin that by hooking up, as it were. And I hope that's not the direction it's going in. Let's hope, well, I personally hope at least, that it was a bit of a red herring in this episode. The majority of the episode takes place at this mixer, and honestly, I thought it was pretty brilliant. The only thing I didn't like was when Frasier said, and I quote, "Even when I was back in Boston." You are back in Boston. So apart from that, it was very well written. There was, of course, a mention, a subtle, maybe not so subtle mention of Cheers, which makes me so happy because I love Cheers. I prefer Cheers to Frasier, but let's not make a big deal out of that. And the scenes in the mixer, I thought, were generally pretty well done. Alan getting his hands stuck in the gauntlet, I thought was rather beautiful, and just the looks on their faces when they first entered the room. I think the set design is really good. The furniture, the fact that all of the chairs, or most of the chairs, looked different, I really liked because it meant it was just visually a little bit more interesting. And the scene, well, initially when they started talking to the waiter, I thought that was pretty good, but I do think they milked that a little bit more than they should have done. That joke kind of wore a bit thin quite quickly. So I didn't love that aspect of it by the time, the third or fourth time it cut back to Frasier and Alan with the waiter. I thought, okay, you've gone a bit too far with this. Let's just leave this now. The whole Olivia understanding Latin without them realizing it, absolutely loved that. Really enjoyed Olivia in this. I love Olivia as a character. I took to her really quickly, and there's just something about her that I find to be really wonderful. And I'm really loving this character. I even liked Eve in this. That's not to say I don't like Eve, but I often feel like she's there just so they have another female, so they don't just have a mostly male cast. But actually, in this episode, I thought she was pretty great. That's nothing against the performance. I think the performance all of the performances in Frasier are really good, but as a character, I felt Eve hadn't really come into her own yet. I didn't really find her a strong source of comedy, but in this episode, I really liked her. But I still don't want her to become an item with Freddy. That's absolutely not the direction that I hope the show is going in. All things considered, apart from a few small things, this was a really great episode. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. And as I said, I think it's my third favourite episode. I think the first two episodes are still the strongest. And maybe that's because everything was fresh and new and exciting, but I do just think they were the funniest. But at the same time, the other two episodes after them, still pretty great, but the Founder Society is a notch higher up. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. And the whole, well, as I said, spoilers, the whole trick that Alan played with Frasier and the fact that, I'll be honest, it made me laugh out loud when not only did Frasier realise the door wasn't locked, but there wasn't even a door there at all. It amused me so much. I didn't see it coming, and it was very well done. And I found that to be a really moving scene between Alan and Frasier. I really enjoyed that as well. Yeah, so definitely, the Founder Society is a really solid episode. Very disappointed that IMDb suggested it would be a chance for BB Newirth to be in the show, but hopefully, considering we're halfway through the series now, we we have to have some cameos, unless they're going to drop them all at the same time. What I would love, and I have no reason to think this will happen, but I would love it if they got the Cheers set out. I don't know where the bar is at the moment. I don't know if somebody's bought it, if it's still in storage, but it would be a dream come true if they got the Cheers set out and had Frasier visit Cheers and the gang was there, or well, the gang that would still be around was there, and Lilith was there. That would be a dream. I have no reason to think that that's going to happen, but that would be amazing. But either way, 5 episodes left. I know there are a couple of cameos confirmed at least, and there are hints that will be some Cheers cameos other than Lilith. I really hope that they start to drip feed them in soon rather than just putting them all in one episode. But either way, I'll be happy. Looking forward to the other 5 episodes and would be very happy to watch this Founder Society again. I probably will once the series is finished. I probably will watch all of the episodes again, back to back, as it were, rather than having to wait 7 days in between each episode, which is agonizing. But it's worth it. The Founder Society, completely worth the wait. Really thoroughly enjoyed it.